of the Texas Louisville
This meeting is
Radioactive
being
Waste
recorded.
Disposal Compact Commission. Today is January 27th, 2022, and it's a little after 10 a.m. We're in the Reagan building. And we also have several folks that are on Zoom. And at this time, I am actually going to turn the meeting over to Judge Dolgner, and he is going to preside and take good care of us. So thank you for attending.
Thank you, John. First thing is call the roll. I'm here. John's here. Can y'all voice in since we're recorded?
Present.
Jeff Lundy here.
Linda Morris present.
Richard Sodick.
Richard Sodek's here.
And how about your compadre? Is he coming today?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. We just didn't see you on the thing. Be a quorum present. Go ahead and do the any elected officials here or on Zoom that want to be recognized. Being none, go on to, is there any member of the press here in Austin or on the any members of the press? Okay. Item 4 is to take public comment. Anybody here want to give public comment on the okay, Mr. Burnham, you're recognized.
For everybody else, Representative Burnham is physically present. He's coming up to the computer right now.
Is that mic turned on?
Good morning.
Good morning. I hear.
Can y'all hear Commissioner
Good
Representative
morning.
Burnham?
Can you hear me online? Just fine. Okay, thank you.
yes.
Was Miss Haddon able to get in?
I do not see her. I do not see her on the attendees list yet.
Well, I know that she's hoping to speak. I'll go ahead. Good morning. I'm Lon Burnham. I live in Fort Worth. I've appeared before you all before. I hope you're all well. Given the circumstances, I hope you're all well. As I reviewed the events since your last meeting, I prepared to meet with you in person today, I thought of 3 cliches that seem appropriate. First one was, am I the dog barking up the wrong tree? Relative to who can do what to address my concerns. Number 2 is, this really is Groundhog Day, deja vu all over again, because we want to talk to you about water. Third one is it appropriate to say, we told you so? Because people have been telling you about the problem that most of you have received email communications on for over a decade now. Of course, I'm referring to the bad faith action of WCS with reference to the permit modification to plug and abandon a water monitoring well. Public interest groups and whistleblowers, former employees of TCU have been trying to draw this attention to you, as I said, for over a decade. While, excuse me, while in this application, WCS pretends that the well's problem is due to recent rains, there is nothing to support that conclusion. Last 6 months have been unusually dry. And if recent rains were the source of the problem, why is the well in question the only well they want to cap and cover? Will they request another permit modification every time there's a problem that they want to cover up? I know you don't have authority to act on the permit request, but you do have authority to send a letter to the TCEQ expressing your concerns and asking for a public hearing, which so far has not been allowed. You also have the authority to refuse to support additional requests until WCS agrees to and supports a public hearing. Karen Haddon has provided you with a wealth of material regarding not only our most recent press advisory, but background information dating back the decade. Just want to point out to you that, going back over a decade, WCS provided the data change to the state aquifer map. This has been proven wrong over and over again. Such that We know 3 members of the TCQ staff resigned over the original application because they said it was an inappropriate site. On at least a dozen occasions over the last decade, Karen Haddon, I, and other public interest advocates have come to you expressing our aquifers and the water that's coming into these monitoring wells. And now, last month, we find that WCS, rather than face the problem, they want to act like an ostrich and just cap and cover the well. Please address this very legitimate concern about the safety of the site. And I hope Ms. Haddon has time and is able to plug in to provide additional information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Burnham. Ms. Haddon, are you available?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
I can. We can.
Good morning, and thank you so much for making it possible to participate remotely. That matters a lot to me and is greatly appreciated. I'm speaking on behalf of Seed Coalition. I share the concerns raised by Mr. Lon Burnham just now, and have sent an email. If you did not get it, perhaps Stephen Rains can make sure that all the members get it. I have read the license modification for Federal Waste Facility Well 17B. And WCS seeks to plug and abandon that well. It showed 6.2 feet of water present. And then the well was purged in August. And after that, a month later, it had refilled to 5.5 feet above the measuring point. It's 113 feet deep on this well. Now that could be tapping into either, you guys will need to determine whether that's DOCM or OAG, and the O in OAG is Ogallala. Regardless of which water body, it seems to me that this particular monitoring well may have tapped into an aquifer, and I think that needs to be fully determined. It was really disappointing to see that the TCEQ approach seems to be, okay, yeah, cap the well. I mean, that seems to be the direction that things are heading from the documents that I've read, without even a public hearing. And this has been the major issue surrounding this site from day one. People argued it shouldn't be opened because of water at the site. Now, when there's evidence of that, the TCQ is apparently about to just allow that to happen. While there is public comment, that doesn't matter much when there's not even a public meeting or an opportunity for a contested case hearing. This is something where the experts need an opportunity to dig in and to really examine the issue. There are so many questions. When they took cameras down after they drained the well, then they found that the casing was intact, but there was a place at 29.7 feet deep where it looked like water had been coming in. There was staining there. It's like, okay, why? And we know WCS has said from the start that there are playas present at the site. This is, it appears, common sense says that this is something more than just rainwater. Again, as Mr. Burnham mentioned, the whole region has been incredibly dry for the past year. Someone in Midland told me it's been about 5 inches of rain. This does not make sense for this to be rain. So TCQ, we believe, should be requiring additional monitoring wells right there in that location. They should be determining the source of the water. They should be further characterizing where the water is, because otherwise it's unsafe for you to be authorizing the disposal of low-level waste at that site. I think this puts you in a precarious position. We have always argued that you as a body should be very, very well funded, and that funding should include the opportunity for research and analysis that you believe needs to be done. And I still maintain that. I think that your work is very important and should be well funded. So I'm hoping that you will consider the seriousness of this after all of this long history. For many years, we came before you and said, please don't authorize these disposal applications because of water at the site. 40% of the wells were reading saturated when we did analysis of the data submitted by WCS many years ago. And then I've read as much as 50% in some of the articles written about the site. Typically, though, I don't think that's as much water as this particular well. This one seems to have a lot of water, so maybe it's the placement. Maybe much of the site is dry, but this particular placement is not. And this location is between the compact waste facility and the federal waste facility at the top, the northern part of the site. So the proximity to the compact facility matters. And, years ago, we came and talked about the water and we learned that pumping was going on to keep the compact facility dry. Then we were told that would last as long as 18 months to get it dry. Then it appears that the pumping has been an ongoing feature of the site, still going on today. So the site needs to be dry for purposes of safety. And now TCQ is set to ignore something that puts it all at risk. I would hate for your legacy to be one of okaying, disposal at the site when in fact there were serious risks, because this could lead to the kind of disaster that must be prevented. Contamination of water could be a serious problem. It could spread contamination. It could go, throughout the state and who knows how far. So please, this is what the former scientists warned of. They said there was water within 14 feet of the disposal area, groundwater. There was an interoffice memorandum from TCEQ that we'll be posting on nonuclearwaste.org that laid out clearly, Glenn Lewis in particular, laid out clearly all of the scientific findings of the radioactive waste division from day one. And, nothing has changed to change that other than the fact that there's pumping going on a routine basis. What if the pumps fail? We don't know what the groundwater is doing right now, whether it's rising or falling, because that can change due to how much pumping occurs in the region. We've got injection of water from fracking in the region. We had a geyser go off in one area not too long ago, and we've had a lot of earthquakes in the region. So, there needs to be more research and characterization before you approve disposal of low-level radioactive waste. And I'll wrap up with that and just plead that you research this and that you, for now, postpone decisions on today's import applications. I think that this needs to be resolved first. And thank you so very much.
Ms. Haddon,
Yes.
this is Jeff Mundy. I'm looking at your organization's website. I'm not finding the information that you referenced. Can you tell me where I could find this?
At nonuclearwaste.org under WCS, you'll find several documents. I'm not sure if everything is up yet, but the modification request is up there, along with the presentation that WCS did to the Compact Commission in Andrews County many years ago. And that shows the different formations, the OAG and the DOCM that are beneath the site and their relative depths. This well that we're talking about is in the 125-foot zone and is in this particular one is 113 feet deep.
Okay, but where is the information about the water levels, current or recent water levels? I'm looking under the WCS page and I'm not seeing it. Or could you put it up on there for?
The modification request that is posted as the second item there is where we got the data for the for FW 17B. And it's the information starts on page 79 with a map.
Okay.
And then the next 6 or 7 pages have the key information. There's a lot of pages to the document, but that's where you'll find it.
And has anybody made a contested case request?
Not as of yet, but we will be doing that. And I believe state legislators will be doing that as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything on open forum? Before we go on to the agenda?
I'm a little bit surprised this hasn't apparently been directly addressed by the TCEQ. Is there any extent that they've done anything other than just say, refill it or whatever, just say cap it or let it or drain it or whatever?
May I respond to that one?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
Please.
asking
From the modification request that again is online there was a letter in there from TCEQ to WCS. My understanding from reading that was that they were set to approve this change, which they are addressing as a class 2 modification. For that, they don't have to have a public meeting, but WCS held a meeting in Andrews at the Chamber of Commerce. Well, that is not a TCEQ meeting. For it to have a public meeting, it needs to be addressed as a class 3 modification. And we will be asking that occur. I don't think the company hosting a meeting at the Chamber of Commerce is really adequate for something of this magnitude. And the indication in that letter was that they were set to just say okay to it. That's how I read the language that they wrote. You can read it for yourselves. It's a little later in that same document and the application.
Anything else? Okay, gonna move on. Thank you, Karen, for that.
Thank you.
I mean,
I appreciate your concern.
also Lon, I cannot remember if you said who you were for. Was you for self or somebody else? I know you said you were from Fort Worth, but are you representing somebody or just yourself? I couldn't remember. Okay, let it record show that Mr. Burns for the Sierra Club and Public Citizen. I couldn't remember if it's in the record or not, but now it is. Thank you, Lon. We'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is considering possible action on each of the following applications for import of nuclear radioactive waste. Mr. Salzman.
Good morning, Judge and fellow commissioners. The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from RAM Services Incorporated, received October 4, 2021, and it's number 1-0327-00. In this case, RAM Services is a broker who is a licensed waste processor and collector requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the Act. They have specifically requested authorization for Class A, Class B, and Class C stable sealed sources and industrial devices in concrete. And those waste streams were approved by TCEQ in letter correspondence dated January 13, 2022. They're requesting authorization for 75 cubic feet and 140 curies of radioactivity. The committee has received no comments on this import application. The applicant has requested authorization to receive waste or to import waste from all compacts excluding the Northwest Compact and including the following unaffiliated states and district: Michigan, Nebraska, New York, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maine, North Carolina, and Washington, D.C. I would note that any waste that we receive or that is received from the Southwestern or Rocky Mountain compacts will require an export authorization. And to date, the commission has not received any export authorizations or generator authorizations from the applicant. In addition, the applicant has requested an agreement for a 1-year period. And they have indicated that the waste would be from small quantity generators, and based on the requested volume, carries, and generator types, the commission concurs. The technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any commissioners have any questions to Mr. Commissioner Vice Chairman Salzman? Oh, have a, go ahead, John.
All right, let me get back to the page. I make a motion to approve the import application from Ram Services, Inc., number 1-0327-00. The waste class is Class A, Class B, and Class C. The waste form is stable. The waste stream is sealed sources and industrial devices in concrete. The volume is 75 cubic feet. The total radioactivity is 140 curies. The agreement will be for a 1-year period ending on August 31, 2022, and this will be considered under a small quantity generator set aside. In addition, the applicant will have an opportunity to provide us the generator authorizations and the export authorizations in up to 4 submittals provided to our administration.
Okay. Mr. Burnham, you have something? Before we take a vote?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of public citizens and Sierra Club, we would like to oppose and be on the record as opposing all the applications today until the issues and questions resolving the water and the well are addressed. And to save everybody's time, I'll just say that once and just put it in the agenda the rest of the time. Thank you.
It's so noted that the Sierra Club rejects A, B, C, D, E of item 5.
And Judge, I would also note that I neglected to include in my motion, so I will include this in my motion, that the waste will come from all compacts excluding the Northwest Compact and including the unaffiliated states and district that are listed in their application.
So we have a motion on the floor. Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and second on item 5A. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Well, I do have an observation, I guess, which would apply to all the items that we'll be approving. And that's just that in voting to approve it, I'm proceeding with the understanding that we're not the appellate body for TCEQ's decisions, that those properly would be appealed to the courts in Texas, and that we are certainly, for now at least, bound to take TCEQ's determinations as to water impacts as being the official position of the body with environmental jurisdiction on these matters.
Thank you. Karen, do you want to speak?
Yes, I would like to speak to this item. Seed Coalition is opposed to the application by Ram Services, BMX Technologies, PG&E, Diablo Canyon, Meraphysics importation, and Energy Solution importation request today. So please put us on the record for all of them. We won't belabor the point again, because the water issues at the site need to be resolved first. I don't know that there is an opportunity. I appreciate Mr. Bradford's comment, but I don't know what opportunities actually exist to take this into the court, since TCEQ is not even allowing a contested case hearing. If that can be changed, maybe we'll have that opportunity. Right now, I don't know how that would happen. I don't know that you can go into the courts without going straight to the agency first. This is a legal gray area for me. I have not consulted an attorney. But I don't feel like we should have to. I'm hoping that I would love to see you guys act simply to postpone these until more information is gathered. And I thank you very much.
Have a motion and second and a vote. And what I got is everybody voted for it with no,
I'd like to kind of add my voice to Peter's, but I don't know why TCEQ can't come into our meeting and explain what their position is on this. That should be an open book to us, it seems to me.
Commissioner Sadek and Commissioner Redford, this is Stephen Rains, the Executive Director of the Low-Level Radioactive Waste Disposal Combat Commission, that we received some inquiries from Ms. Haddon, Chairman Hurley and I did, and have forwarded the concerns raised by Ms. Haddon to TCEQ. TCEQ is present here at the commission meeting, but whether appropriate for them to speak to that or not is really in their judgment. We can't compel them to speak today, though there are some of them in attendance that probably have knowledge that they can impart on that.
Why would it be inappropriate? I mean, let's be open about this. If TCEQ has a position on this, let's hear it. There's no reason we shouldn't hear it.
Well, I think we have here today, the head of the radioactive materials division is here, but I'm not sure that's actually in her jurisdiction at TCEQ. That would probably be more an enforcement action that has the discretion whether to grant the closing of that monitoring well. I know there are several folks on from TCEQ. I'm just not sure you have the right person and whether they're authorized to speak on their behalf.
Well, why don't we let them decide that or tell us so?
Also, Stephen, I would like you to please forward to all the commissioners whatever Ms. Haddon and Mr. Burnham have sent to you and Mr. Chairman Hurley, so that we can all see that, please.
I'll be happy to do that. I can do that after the meeting today if you guys would like. I'll be happy to send those to you.
And I'll say, I echo Commissioner Bradford's view of it is, right now, I think we owe deference to TCEQ's determination, but I will just throw out a thought to Ms. Haddon and Mr. Burnham. I think y'all should make a contested case request, because I think generally we're going to give deference to them, and it's not up to us per se. We're not in a position technically to evaluate this and get into the depth of it that is needed. So I'm kind of on Commissioner Bradford's page with that. So, but I would encourage you to take it up with TCEQ and get your own legal counsel and pursue it over there. And then if whatever they decide, they decide. But I am very
I'd like
interested
to
in,
hear from them anyway.
yeah, I'm interested in the information. If TCEQ wants to speak to this, I am interested in hearing from them.
if she wants to-
Can I make a comment, Judge?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate
Absolutely.
people bringing their concerns forward. And, I think we're all interested in those concerns.
I thought she-
That said, the issue that you raise would impact any waste disposed of in the disposal site, including in compacts, so waste generated in Texas or Vermont. That's why we're part of the reason why we're not the appropriate organization to go to for a decision. TCEQ is the licensing authority, and they are the ones that need to be appealed to
Yep.
resolve these concerns.
Absolutely concur.
Thank you. Ashley Ford with TCEQ is on. I don't know what she's going to say, but I will leave her to that for her own deal. Ashley?
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, this is Ashley Forbes. I'm the Deputy Director of the Office of Waste Radioactive Materials Division. Ms. Haddon did contact me a while back, and I honestly didn't know what she was referring to when she brought this issue to me. I have since learned that what she's referencing is a RECRA permit modification to capture that a well that was damaged, and our experts at TCEQ have confirmed that well was damaged, was plugged and abandoned in accordance with authorization granted by my colleague in the Office of Compliance and Enforcement. We are happy to meet with parties or your commissioners to give more information, but I assure you, as the director over the licensing over the site, it is a safe site. I have health physicists, engineers, and geologists constantly looking at data and information from other wells at the site and from other information provided by WCS. We have conducted all the inspections that we are required to do at the site. And I am more than happy to answer questions and have a meeting with folks who would like to have more information. But as for the specific issue right now with a comment period, that is regarding an update to the RECRA permit to reflect that this well has been authorized for plugging and abandonment because it is damaged.
Ms. Forbes, are there other monitoring wells out there?
Yes, sir, there is an entire environmental monitoring program at the site that we approve. So we take all requests seriously. We look at the whole site and its environmental monitoring to ensure protectiveness of public health and the environment.
Thank you, Ms. Forbes.
Ashley, thank you for opening your and bringing your hand to the table about meeting with Mr. Burnham and Karen over this. Maybe we can get it knocked out one of these days. I think that we need to move on to the agenda, though. We do have on a vote of to approve RAM services. Item B, Mr. Salzman.
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from BWX Technologies, NOG Lynchburg, and that was received October 11, 2021. It's number 1-0328-00. In this case, BWXT is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the Act. They've requested authorization for Class A unstable DAW, debris, lead e-waste, TP solids, contaminated soil, and depleted uranium. And those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site by TCEQ via letter correspondence dated January 13, 2022. BWXT has requested authorization for 26,000 cubic feet and a total radioactivity of 1 curie. We received no comments on this application other than those that were presented earlier in today's meeting. The application, pardon me, the applicant has indicated that the waste will originate from the state of Virginia, which is located in the Southeast Compact and does not require export authorization. And the applicant has requested an agreement for a 1-year period that would terminate August 31, 2022. The technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does any commissioner have anything on item 5B?
Yeah, I have a
Yes.
question.
Go ahead.
26,000 cubic feet and only 1 curie of radioactivity is I don't know, is that possible when you're disposing of radioactive waste?
Yes.
It actually is. In this case, I suspect the majority of the waste is going to be depleted uranium, which has a very high mass, large volume, but it has a incredibly low activity associated with it. In addition, the application indicates DAW, dry active waste, which is typically paper, plastic, trash, things like that, that are similar. They have a very large volume, or typically have a very large volume, but very low activity. So, but Lisa, would you, any additional insight?
Well, I was going to bring up just the same comment. Clearly, this is likely not to primarily go to the compact disposal cell because of its low specific activity. And I do appreciate, though, that the import permit has been submitted and that it makes us aware of the incoming waste to our state. But likely most of this waste will go to the low activity waste cell.
I would agree. I do believe that by license, the depleted uranium would have to go to the compact waste facility. Some of the other waste streams, if they can be separated from the depleted uranium, I think could potentially go to the RCRA cell.
That's a good clarification. Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioners? If not, John,
I make a motion to approve the import application from BWX Technologies, NOG Lynchburg, number 1-0328-00. The waste class is Class A. The waste form is unstable. The waste stream is DAW, debris, lead e-waste, TP solids, contaminated soil, and depleted uranium. The volume is 26,000 cubic feet. The radioactivity is 1 curie. The waste will originate from the state of Virginia, and the agreement would terminate August 31, 2022.
have a motion, there's a motion. I need a second from the commission.
Second.
Have a second on item 5B. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion carries. Item 5C, John.
Scroll to the agenda for that. The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from Pacific Gas and Electric Company Diablo Canyon Power Plant. That was received October 14, 2021. It's number 1-0329-00. In this case, Diablo Canyon is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the act. They have requested authorization for Class A stable and unstable cement encapsulated filters and dewatered resin. Those waste streams were approved by TCEQ for disposal at the compact waste facility via letter correspondence dated January 13, 2022. The applicant has requested a volume of 290 cubic feet and a total radioactivity of 70 curies. This waste will originate from the state of California, which is part of the Southwestern Compact, and will require an export authorization, and to date that has not been provided. And I would, in addition, the applicant has requested an agreement with for a one-year period with a termination date of August 31, 2022. The technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does the commission have a question on 5C? Being none, John?
Before I make my motion, I would note, I believe I read an article relatively recently that there's been discussion out in California about keeping, I think, Diablo Canyon open or wanting to open it because of some of the power problems that they've actually.
Yeah, I read the same article.
In California. So interesting. I make a motion that we approve the import application from Pacific Gas and Electric Company Diablo Canyon Power Plant, number 1-0329-00. The waste class is Class A. The waste form is stable and unstable. Waste stream is cement encapsulated filters and dewatered resin. The volume is 290 cubic feet. The radioactivity is 70 curies. The waste will come from California, and it will require that they provide us a copy of the export authorization. And the agreement would terminate August 31 of 2022.
Have a motion, 5C, have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and second on 5C. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Being none, motion carries. Item 5D, John?
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from AmeriPhysics LLC that was received November 10, 2021, and it's number 1-0330-00. In this case, AmeriPhysics is a broker who is a licensed waste collector requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the Act. They've requested authorization for Class A, Class B, and Class C unstable sealed sources, decommissioning waste, dry active waste, or other unwanted radioactive waste. Those waste streams were approved by TCEQ via letter correspondence dated January 13, 2022. They've requested a volume of 200 cubic feet and a total radioactivity of 400 curies. We received no comments on this application other than those presented or provided in today's meeting. In this case, they've requested authorization to import waste from all U.S. states and territories except Texas and Vermont. And I would note that any waste from the Northwest, Southwestern, or Rocky Mountain compacts will generally require an export authorization. To date, the applicant has not provided those export authorizations or generator authorizations. And the applicant has indicated the waste to be from small quantity generators, and based on the volume, curies, and generator types, the commission would generally concur. The applicant has requested a one-year agreement with the termination date of August 31, 2022. Technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by the commissioners? Being none, John, your motion.
I make a motion to approve the import application from AmeriPhysics LLC number 1-0330-00. The waste class is Class A, Class B, and Class C. The waste form is unstable. The waste stream is sealed sources, decommissioning waste, dry active waste, or other unwanted radioactive waste. The volume is 200 cubic feet. The radioactivity is 400 curies. The waste will originate from all states except Texas and Vermont. The applicant will be required to provide in up to 4 submissions to the commission the export authorizations and generator authorizations that are appropriate for the waste. The agreement would terminate August 31, 2022, and this will be considered under a small quantity generator set aside.
So I guess before we vote, I have a question on the small, you don't have a, y'all both agreed that small quantities available to this?
It is, we, when the applicant submits, if approved, when the applicant submits that information to the administration, that'll get reviewed to ensure that the materials that are actually being imported are coming from small quantity generators. Obviously, we would never approve under a small quantity generator set aside any waste from nuclear power plant.
Even
And that when they send their manifest to me before they receive their letter to dispose, we review that and make sure that that is in order before they're approved for that small quantity generator. And as we approve what's in their manifest as well for whatever material they're going to actually dispose of.
Correct.
giving the commissioners a chance to speak. Anybody else?
We still need a second on the
Yeah.
motion.
Do I have a second from the commissioners?
Second.
Have a second on item 5D. Have a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none. Motion carries. Lastly, item 5E.
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from Energy Solutions OBO Omaha Public Power District, Fort Calhoun Station, Unit 1. The application was received December 21, 2021, and it's number 1-0331-00. In this case, Energy Solutions Fort Calhoun is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the act. They have requested authorization for Class B and Class C unstable segmented irradiated hardware. And that waste stream was approved for disposal at the site via letter correspondence from TCEQ dated January 13, 2022. In this case, they've requested a volume of 725.4 cubic feet and a total radioactivity of 89,000 curies. This waste, no comments were received by the commission other than those presented at the today's meeting. The applicant has indicated the waste will originate from Nebraska, which is an unaffiliated state. And the applicant has requested an authorization for a one-year period that would terminate August 31, 2022. And I would note for the commissioners that if approved, this application request will need to be treated as contingent. It is for irradiated hardware and it exceeds our 15,000 curie limit. But the technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
John, where are we on our annual cap? And because this is a fairly large amount coming in, so I'm just curious about our capacity on the annual curie cap.
I believe we have a significant amount of curies left, but we do have a fair number that are being considered as contingent. I looked at the spreadsheet a couple days ago, and I want to say if we approved all the contingent applications, or if all the contingently approved applications were allowed to ship waste, and all the waste that we've already approved, including if we approved all those for today, I think we would still have around 30 to 35,000 curies out of our 275,000 curie limit left. So we still have curies left, but if you add in all the contingent curies, we are beginning to approach the 275,000 curie limit. So it's one of those things that obviously we'll have to watch closely through our administration. And I would note that, again, for any of the contingently approved curies, those importers have to provide a letter shortly before shipment to the administration. And then those curies have to be released by letter from Brand before they can actually make that shipment.
John, is it your experience that typically the import application permits, the actual curies listed on the permit are changed and usually lowered prior to actual shipment? The waste actually hasn't been fully characterized at this point for most applications. And once they actually package the waste, there's typically more, analysis done that finalizes the curie content.
Lisa, that's correct. I'd say probably 90 to 95%, particularly with irradiated hardware applications. Once they do the final characterization and actually get ready to make the shipment, the curies almost always go down. There have been, searching my memory, I want to say perhaps once have we been asked for an amendment to increase the number of curies, or perhaps even to increase the volume associated with an irradiated hardware shipment. It's almost always a reduction once they actually start getting the material all segmented and actually into a cask for shipment.
Stephen?
So the contingent process, the contingent approval process provides us a way to ensure that even though we've granted contingent approval on this waste to be disposed of, that we will continue to monitor the total curies actually shipped, because we have a long history of the shipments both not taking place and that when the waste is actually packaged, the final characterization is typically less than what was put into the import permit application.
That's correct, Lisa. They have to, before they actually can make a shipment under the contingent process, they must write a letter, request a release of curies. That goes to administration, gets reviewed. We check against the amount of curies that have actually been shipped. And then if everything looks good, then there's a letter prepared for Brandon's signature to actually release those curies and allow the shipment. But virtually always the amount that they actually ship goes down.
And I would add, commissioners, in your reports that we have so far, you've approved 132,000 curies so far for this fiscal year, have been approved so far prior to this meeting.
But some of those are contingent curies.
Correct. But that's how many have been approved so far. And I might add for this particular request from Energy Solutions, they're not expected to be able to get that entire 89,000 curies in by August, but they requested in case they have everything prepared by the end of August. And I would expect if they do not complete all the irradiated hardware shipments, you will see them back here in July or sometime in September requesting to finish out that segmented irradiated hardware with that power plant. That this is a decommissioning plant, so they're unlikely to ship all 89,000 curies in this year.
Stephen, do you have, or anybody, John, anybody, have any sense about what we have remaining for the remainder of this year as far as anticipated further applications on a curie cap?
I don't, and I understand your question. When I had gone through and reviewed these last week, that was one thing that came to my mind. I wonder how many applications, how many future import applications we're going to receive for the rest of this fiscal year. And I wish I knew. I don't, but I guess I would add again, that's why we have this contingent process. So there's curies that we've approved for non-contingent, which is actually overall a relatively small number. It's the contingent curies that are the big part of that.
Yeah. I don't want this to be a rule, but I would ask that it sort of be a practice in the Stephen, when he's talking with these folks doing decommissioning, see if they can give us like a 2 or 3 year just general forecast of what they're looking at on their B&C. You know, understand it's a rough estimate, but allow us to do a little more long range planning.
We can do that, Commissioner Muddy, whenever we have a conversation with these power plants that are going through the decommissioning process. We usually have a dialogue with them. And this one particular, since it's the first time we've had Energy Solutions via the OPPD group apply, we ask them what their schedule is, and I can keep that available for you as I continue with that dialogue with them.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Happy to do that.
Anybody else? Have a motion, John?
I make a motion that we approve the import application from Energy Solutions Omaha Public Power District Fort Calhoun Station Unit 1. That's number 1-0331-00. The waste class is Class B and Class C. The waste form is unstable. The waste stream is segmented irradiated hardware. The volume is 725.4 cubic feet. The total radioactivity is 89,000 curies, and those curies will be treated as contingent. So the applicant will have to send a letter to the commission before they make shipments under this, if this import application is approved. The waste will originate from Nebraska, and the agreement would terminate August 31 of 2022.
Have a motion, need a second.
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 Have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion carried. Item 6 is considering possible action on each of the following amendments. We would just have one A, pyrotechnics importation amendment in Commission's docket 2032301. Is that yours, John?
The technical committee has received and reviewed an amendment request from Philotechnics Ltd. It was dated December 13, 2021, and as Judge noted, it's number 1-0323-01. And the Philotechnics has requested an increase in volume from 500 cubic feet to 600 cubic feet, and an increase in the radioactivity from 10 curies to 500 curies. There's no other changes. They've requested no other changes to the import agreement. And I would note that the commission, the original application indicated that this was waste from a small quantity generator. The commission will continue to review the information provided by Philotechnics before they make shipments to ensure that the waste is in fact from small quantity generators. But the technical committee does recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I just have one question. I don't see a letter from TCQ. Does TCQ have to approve
And
that, or they already did?
technically on this, they did send in a letter, as I recall, but technically there's no requirement for TCQ to approve this. They've already approved the waste streams. And since this amendment request doesn't affect the waste streams, it's only the volume and the curies, and the ability to authorize those for import lies strictly with the low-level waste commission. So we technically don't need a letter from TCQ for this type of amendment.
Any other commissioners have any questions for Vice Chairman Salzman?
I might add, for the commissioner's benefit, this request came in very quickly, even before you had approved the last one, but they still have to go through an amendment process. They can't amend the request before you would actually approve this back in September, but this is the process by which they have to go through.
Interesting.
Anybody else have anything? You done a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the import amendment request from Philotechnics Ltd. number 1-0323-01. And we will increase the volume from 500 to 600 cubic feet. We'll increase the curies from 10 curies to 500 curies.
Have a motion and second by commissioners.
Second.
Have a second. Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion carried. I'm going to take the chair's deal of having a break for 10 minutes at this time. Sorry, Dave, but I got to take a break. So we'll be in recess for 10 minutes, which I got like at 10 o'clock. So 10:10 be reconvening. 11:10, I'm sorry. I guess I'm on off. No, okay. 11:10. Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
The commission now take up business on item 7, receive report from Dave Carlson with WCS about.
Judge, we can barely hear you.
Turn my mic on, I'm sorry. Yeah, I even marked it. Okay, how about now?
Much better.
Thank you. We're going to receive on item 7, receive report from Dave Carlson, WCS, about the compact facility, recent site operations, and any other WCS wishes they want to bring to the attention of the compact. Mr. Carlson, are you ready to talk?
Judge, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. This is Dave Carlson. I'm president of Waste Control Specialists. In terms of disposal in the compact waste facility for the current fiscal year, which starts September 1st of 2021. In compact, we've disposed of 5,954 cubic feet and 2,396 carries. Out of compact, we disposed of 11,191 cubic feet and 22,560 carries. In terms of where that puts us to date, basically through the end of December of 2021, we've disposed of 234,255 cubic feet, which is 2.6% of our total licensed capacity. And we've disposed of just about 500,000 carries, which is 12.8% of our licensed capacity. In terms of payments that have been made on our surcharges, the last quarterly payment that was made was $1,577,000 to TCEQ and $331,000 to Andrews County. What that does for the totals since inception of the low-level radioactive waste facility, basically the last 10 years, is $65 million in payments to TCEQ and almost $15 million in payments to Andrews County, for a total of over $80 million to date. And that's the report I have. Are there any questions for me?
Mr. Carlson, do you have, I'm going to the last application we considered that had 89,000 curies on it. Do you have any sort of just guesstimate or forward-looking, information for us about what you anticipate for the rest of our fiscal year? Just guesstimates.
Yes, Commissioner, jobs that would involve irradiated hardware tend to be planned well ahead of time. So typically those are not added in late. So my expectation, at least at this point in time, is that we've probably seen all of the high curie applications we're going to see. And in fact, what we do see, and I think what we've seen historically, is that some of those do fall off. And so those are difficult jobs to complete. I'm sure that that Commissioner Edwards could verify that. But so because of the complexity of these jobs, they tend to sometimes not happen.
Great. Thank you so much. That was helpful.
What you said it was that your number of cubic feet was 2.6% of your licensed capacity. What percent of your built capacity is it?
Yeah, so the first phase, Commissioner, is 450,000 cubic feet. So whatever the math is on that, a bit less than half.
Less than half?
Yes, sir.
I'm not following the the calculation. Is it a lot less than half or a little less than half?
Well, let me pull out my calculator.
Close to half, or?
So give me just a second. It looks like it's right at 52%.
Mr. Carlson, this is Lisa Edwards. It may be prudent when you do these reports to come prepared to report on the percentage, both of the license capacity and the as-built capacity. We ask this question every time, so we might as well anticipate it and include it in your report, if that's possible.
Pleased to do it, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And if we could include curies as well as volume, that would be helpful.
I do have a question for the commission. Y'all got WCS's reports, probably 9 more than we usually get. Does anybody have any questions over the reports we got in our packet to David?
How are things going with Vermont Yankee?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, say it again.
I just wondered how things are going with Vermont Yankee. Are you on schedule? Are you ahead? You behind? Or are there any concerns that we should know about?
To date, we've been very well on schedule. The job is proceeding well. We have seen no issues with it. We continue to receive waste from Vermont Yankee and have no reason to believe that it won't be completed on the schedule. In addition, I think they have a oversight group that reviews progress on a periodic basis, and I know that there's reports provided to that local oversight group as well.
Dave, can you remind me the basis for the payments to TCEQ and Andrews County? Is it volumetric, flat amount, percent of income? Just how is it calculated?
Yeah, so for the compact waste facility, the total that we pay is 30.25% of gross revenue from disposal. The gross revenue for disposal is based on a combination of cubic feet and curies that are disposed. So the payments to the TCEQ and to the county are based on both of those things. There are additional payments. So in our federal waste facility, we pay 20% of gross revenue from that facility that's also distributed. And then we have various storage activities on site where money from storage would be distributed in various ways to TCEQ or to Andrews County. So there's several sources of payments to both TCEQ and Andrews County, as well as normal RECRA disposal taxes and so on and so forth that we also pay.
But the 30.25% is the total to TCEQ and Andrews.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 31.25. 1.25% of that does go to the operations of the Compact Commission.
Any other
Thanks.
questions? Dave, thank you for your diligence and what you do there. With that, you have anything else, David, you want to talk about, or anything from WCS's in the operation?
I don't think so. I'm pleased with the level of interest in our groundwater monitoring and environmental monitoring programs. Very proud of those programs. And if y'all were interested at some point in the future, I'd be glad to. I could do even on this current allegation that was made, I could do a 5-minute, I could do a 30-minute, or I could do a 5-hour presentation, on those issues and make you all feel comfortable.
I'll tell you what, why don't you do the 5-minute one if you're prepared? If not, I can move you down and prepare and come back.
Sure. And I'll start with, I'm not an expert on this, but I can tell you what I know. As you all know, the site is regulated by TCEQ and they're fully engaged in everything that we do on the site there. They review all of our monitoring data and are aware of everything that we do there. We have literally hundreds of wells on the site at various depths. We have a site-wide groundwater model that's based on all the data that's been collected from those wells over decades. And what that proves is we have absolutely no pathway to groundwater. There is not a pathway to groundwater on the waste control specialist site. Despite what people may say, that is exactly the situation. So let me go to the details of this. The situation is one well failed. And what does that mean when a well fails? Well, there's a well that's a temporary monitoring well. It's been in for a couple of decades. It's constructed of PVC and it has joints in it. The number of the well, in case you want to look it up and go into great detail, it's FWF 17B. So this well was damaged and the downhole video showed water leaking in at a shallow joint at this well. This water is rainwater infiltration, and it's coming from the well box. So the way this well is constructed, it's a flush mount well in a high traffic area. And historically, from time to time, we've seen flush mount wells in high traffic areas have problems with rainwater infiltration. We can't help the fact that it's a high traffic area. It's actually located between the compact waste facility and the federal waste facility. So FWF 17B is part of a cluster of wells, and it monitors the 125-foot zone. 125-foot zone is an area of assumed higher permeability than other areas. So ancient waters would tend to collect in a higher permeability zone as opposed to a lower permeability zone. All the other 125-foot wells in this area are dry. There are wells in less than 20 feet away from this existing well. FWF 17A is just a few feet away. It monitors the OAG and it's dry. So we see no indication other than rainwater coming from the surface, from the damage in FWF 17B and getting into the well that way. And in fact, that's a concern for us. Our concern is that leaks, when they do occur, and with hundreds of wells, you're not going to avoid ever having leaks. The leaks, when they do occur, they allow surface water to reach the underground. So what happened with this well is that, as we would expect to do, as soon as we identified the problem with the well and did the camera logging and so on, we requested approval from the TCEQ to plug and abandon the well, and we received that approval, and that's been done. This well was a compliance well, or was not a compliance well. It's just a supplemental well. So we have, many extra wells on site in addition to our compliance wells. So based on that, there was no need to replace the well with a new well. And the permit change that was referred to is just to remove it from the list of wells that are listed in the RECRA permit. It's not to change any compliance situation with the RECRA permit. As I mentioned, we have more than 20 years of data. The adjacent wells are all dry. This one only became wet when there was the water leakage into it. As is required by the TCEQ, we held a meeting. It's not a hearing. We held a meeting on this to invite members of the public to come in and ask questions and to do a presentation to them on a change to a RECRA permit. And so we did that. Mr. Tommy Taylor of Fasken, who I believe is works closely with some of the folks that spoke earlier. He came to that meeting. He got a complete explanation. He was able to ask his questions. We invited him to come out and visit the site to take a look at our groundwater monitoring model and so on. And I believe we've provided good information to him. So again, I could talk about groundwater for quite a bit longer if you cared to, but I do want to continue to reiterate, we simply don't have a groundwater pathway at this site. That's why we monitor. That's why we have an extremely extensive groundwater monitoring program, and we make all that data available to the TCEQ and available for their review.
Does any commissioner have any comments to Mr. Carlson?
Sorry, Judge. Yes, I have a comment. So first of all, thank you for that detailed explanation, Mr. Carlson. I am relatively familiar with groundwater monitoring programs, and based upon that experience, the things that in your discussion that stood out to me was that this was a temporary well and not a compliance well, that there are other wells of a similar depth in the same region and in fact extend around the site. And you provided a plausible explanation for the aging as being a mechanism for the failure of the well. I really appreciate you taking the time to discuss those details with us. I do still believe that this is outside of the purview of this commission, and that the challenges to this information belong with TCEQ. But that said, it is still very informative for this commission to hear that information, as well as to hear the public concerns. And I hope the time is taken to address the public concerns, in other meetings or venues as well. Thank you for that, though.
Thank you.
Could I just piggyback on Lisa's comment as well as Dave's presentation to ask about the difference between a compliance well and the others? Specifically, are they technically different in the way they're put together, or is it just a designation that applies some wells and not to others.
Yeah, Commissioner, if we were to lose a compliance well due to damage, we would replace it or would need to substitute another well because that's a necessary well that would be required for compliance with our permit.
But are they built the same as the others?
No.
Yes, sir. In general, they're built the same.
Okay.
I will just say for my time in Andrews as a judge and before the judge and WCS has had meetings at the chamber when different things for TCQ would come up to have a meeting with the public. It's not the first one, it won't be the last. It's not where you rent the James Roberts Center for 3 people, because that's normally what shows up. So it's not something, to me, I wanted y'all to know that WCS has had meetings there before and we'll have them again probably. But they've always engaged in the public in Andrews. Maybe not to the point that people in Andrews want or what they want, but they've reached out to the public. So I'm glad Tommy came. I didn't know he came, but I wanted to let WCS say what their vision of the well was. As y'all know, we're not legally into this, TCQ is, and Ms. Forbes has opened her hand to TCQ for the different parties to contact them, and we'll get it resolved with that. So I'm gonna move on to the chairman's report. Anybody else have anything on this? I'm sorry. Thank you, Dave.
Welcome.
I'm gonna move on to section 8 with the chairman's report, and I'm gonna turn, since I'm not the chairman, will be today, but Stephen's gonna give the chairman's report and executive director's report. Stephen.
Thanks, Commissioner Dolger. Since Chairman Hurley is not here today, one of the things he wanted me to update everyone on, and I know Ms. Fulmer is here today, who is our accountant. During the past couple of months, we have to renew our annual audit, independent audit of the commission. With Ms. Fulmer and I put that out for bid and only received 1 bid from the same auditor we had last year. So that has been approved by Chairman Hurley to renew the auditor for next year. If anybody has any questions on that, Ms. Fulmer and I would be happy to answer them since we had no other bids and it's the same price that we paid last year. Hopefully that meets everyone's approval for us to have the same auditors last year. And that doesn't require any action by y'all, but want to make sure everybody was aware of that issue. And I don't think he had any reports on communications with other compacts other than a reminder to everyone. I know Chairman Hurley wanted to remind y'all at the proposed April meeting date, we're planning to have the commission meet in San Antonio with a low-level radioactive waste forum meeting in San Antonio, and we'll have that at a location, at the same location the forum will be conducted at. So please put that on your agenda for the public as well. That should be the next scheduled meeting in San Antonio.
And that will be at the La Quinta.
That's the La Quinta that's right off of the River Walk
Right.
In San Antonio. And it'll be
The original La Quinta, I think.
correct, actually. And we'll use the same room that they will have the low-level forum meeting at. We'll just, Megan and I will get creative with our technical expertise so we can have a Zoom meeting at the same time at a La Quinta in San Antonio instead of here in this room.
So you think it'd be around 1 to 1:30 probably starting?
I think 2 is what we propose. The forum should end about 1 and we'll give ourselves probably an hour to get it set up. So maybe that'll prompt you to be really fast with your meeting starting at 2 so everybody can leave by 5 o'clock.
No, we got the I-35 traffic for these guys in Austin. So.
It never stops. I would just like, Stephen, I would like say, don't know how long it'll continue, but as long as it is legally permissible for us to have Zoom participation, I would like as a practice to continue that, not necessarily for the commissioners, for the commissioners, but more importantly, I think it makes it easier for members of the public, you know, particularly people in Andrews. I don't expect them to have to drive to Austin. So as long as we can continue this practice, I'd like to have that available to the public to call in or Zoom in, whatever it may be.
Appreciate you saying that, Commissioner Money. I know we received lots of comments, both from Ms. Haddon and Representative Burnham, who's here today, about how much they value us allowing this Zoom format for them, for the members of the public at large, because it does make it easier for them. I know Representative Burnham lives up in the Fort Worth area, and even though he is physically present today, it is much easier for folks outside of Austin to not have to drive all the way to Austin to come and park and to attend via this platform. So I think Chairman Hurley's intent was to try and keep this open as much as possible, and I appreciate your comment on that, and I'm sure the public does as well. I think that's all Chairman Hurley had for the chairman's report. There's no legislative update as well. That's okay with you, or if y'all have any questions for the chairman's report.
Any questions on chairman's report? If not, we'll go to the executive director's report, item 9.
Executive Director's report. The first thing for the Executive Director's report is a reminder that we are going through the Sunset Advisory Commission review of the agency that we're required to do during this biennium. I have in your packet the reminder of where we're at in that schedule, but an update that I can give, I think, verbally to everyone. We have been advised that we will have a report from the Sunset Advisory Commission staff on their recommendations for the commission sometime in May. And I'll circulate that report to all of you whenever we receive that with what recommended changes they may have. There will be a public hearing where the Sunset Commission will review us and allow for public comment. That should be sometime in June. Tentatively, we have been advised that will be either June 22nd or June 23rd. And that will be in Austin at a hearing room, probably be on a platform similar to this as well. You're not required to attend as members of this commission. I'm sure Chairman Hurley and Vice Chairman Salzman and myself will certainly be in attendance and available for questioning and public comment. But you might want to put that on your calendars if you'd like to come or attend and listen to what the commission asks of us and what public comment there is as well. You might put that on your calendar. We're currently don't have any outstanding questions from the commission, but that's where we're at in the process. Is the recommendations will come from them, and then we will be allowed to respond to them if they have recommended changes or things we should do in writing, and I'll make that available to each of you whenever we receive that. Anybody have any questions about Sunset review process? All right, the next item on the agenda is the annual report. You have that in your packet. We are required for the compact itself, actually, and the statute to submit an annual report to the governors of Vermont and Texas, the governors, lieutenant governors, and the speaker. I prepared that for you. It's usually pretty standard stuff about how many curies were disposed of in the calendar year that we usually follow the fiscal year. And what physical volume has been disposed of as well. And I have a reminder in the annual report, a little bit different than normal, that we are going through the Sunset review process, just as a reminder. I'm sure the folks in Texas remember, but as a reminder to the folks in Vermont that we're going through that process in Texas as well. But if you have any questions about that report, we will send that next week once I've got to get Commissioner the chairman and the vice chairman to sign that report before I actually turn it in. But it's a report kind of also on which members of the commission we have and what has changed, though nothing has changed, obviously, as far as membership on our commission in the past year. But if y'all have any questions, I want you to be able to see that before we send that out.
We would like to see it, I think. Sometimes Vermont's, as we say, a little different. And so I would like to see that before a draft before it's put in final.
It should be in the packet, but I can send you another copy of it, Commissioner Shaddock.
I'm sorry, in the packet we just received?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in there.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's in the section on the executive director's report. But
Oh,
if you have thoughts or changes to that, please.
oh, wait a second, wait a second. I'm talking about the report to the governor.
It's a report that goes to the governors of both Texas and Vermont, the lieutenant governors and the speakers. And it includes what activity we had for the last calendar year, including.
Yeah, well, we've been doing that ever since we've been on the commission.
Yes.
But I used to draft the ones for the Vermont governor, and so I'm sorry, I somehow missed that in your packet.
Okay.
I'll go back over.
Okay. If you've got thoughts or changes to it, we'll try and get that edits as quickly as possible.
Okay, I'll look at it today.
All right. And I think that is all I have on my executive director's report, other than we're preparing for that meeting in San Antonio in April 7th will be the date on that for the meeting there, and it'll be a little bit different since we'll have it in San Antonio.
Thank you, Stephen. Next is Rules Committee Report, item 10. Ms. Morris.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Judge.
Morris.
Yes, thank you, Judge. The Rules Committee met last week to take a final look at some of the documents that are in your e-packet. Let me start first of all with the technical position statement. We actually at our last meeting went into executive session because there was the question by our counsel, Melissa Juarez, that this match could be construed as a rule. So to make that some changes since our last meeting, Commissioner Salzman and our counsel have added language to this statement that clearly identifies simply as a guidance document and not a rule. So the actual title of this document is establishing the generator of low radioactive waste for the purposes of determining party versus non-party status for the Texas Low-Level Commission Radioactive Waste Disposal Compact. So again, if there's ever a question on who is the generator of the material, this document will provide guidance, not a defining rule, but simply one piece of the puzzle when making this determination. There are other factors to be considered like health and safety issues and other things. So we are happy with this document the way it is now. The Rules Committee is recommending that it be placed on our website. So it will soon be on the website if anybody would like to take a look at it. Again, it'll be on the website for informational purposes only. We're not requesting comment on it, but simply there because this will be a document that we possibly could be using in the future if this question arises. The other documents that were discussed at our last meeting and are also in the e-packet today are the proposed rule changes. So they were in the packet at the last meeting. They're in the packet today because the Rules Committee is recommending that we now place them on our website for informal comment. So everyone, as soon as Mr. Raines has an opportunity to get these on our website, please, you can start offering informal comment. We are not quite ready to begin the formal rulemaking process. That could possibly take place begin that process as early as our next meeting. But again, just to summarize, what you will see on the website are 3 rules that are being revised. One of them, of course, is 31 Tax 675.20, which are definitions. You'll see 2 new definitions have been added on exigent and contingent events. I felt like we needed those because of our contingency plan, as well as some other reasons we need those. So those are there for your review and comment. Also, the second rule that has changes is 31 Tax 675.21, the so-called export rule. Again, this rule is being amended, or we're going to request revision to allow if the Compact Commission must meet in an emergency session, because of a contingent or exigent event, that the Compact Commission will have the opportunity to waive the 30-day mandatory posting requirement for a petition And so this will be done only under very unusual conditions that are at this point in time, in my mind, are highly unlikely. But we need to have this in place because our contingency plan refers to emergency meetings and the ability to be able to grant emergency export petition approvals. So this is there. Again, this rule, I must emphasize that this rule is not to grant emergency export permits, but simply to allow us to waive the time requirement. So we could possibly consider a petition that has been posted for less than 30 days. So other than that, there's nothing else that says we will or we won't. It's just the time requirement that's being changed in this proposed rule revision. Lastly, the rule that's garnered the most attention seems to be our management rule, which is 31 Tax 675.24. Again, you've had opportunity. It was in your packet, commissioners. At the last meeting, it's in your packet now. You'll have between now and the April meeting to further review these. Again, I invite the public and interested parties, our stakeholders, to please provide comment on this informal comment on this rule too. We, at our last meeting last week, Commissioner Sodick actually had some clarifications and recommendations that we did, and as well as our council has reviewed these. So I think we're ready to go with this, and we are ready to start getting input from the public and interested parties. So that's kind of where we are now. Again, they'll be on the website. Mr. Raines, when might they be on the website?
The commission needs to approve that for publication on the website today by.
Okay. Okay.
I can put them up on the website tomorrow if the commission would like to do that, and that we will have that available for public comment from everybody on those three rules changes.
Yeah, I don't think we need permission from the Compact Commission to put our technical position statement up, but definitely I can understand that for the proposed rule changes.
Correct. The technical position paper I'll have up tomorrow.
Yes, okay. So back to you, Judge.
Good. I'm sorry. Can you explain the different colors on Rule 2.4? So I just, maybe somebody can.
Those are the most recent changes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ones that were because of Commissioner Sodick and our council. John, Mr. Salzman, Commissioner Salzman, do you have any extra comments you want to make on this?
I guess what I'm saying is anything struck by a line, that's not there no more, but everything else is going to be in there.
That's correct, Judge. And I think what we probably eventually what we'll put on the website is probably a clean version.
Right.
Not one with all the changes. It's too hard to read.
That's right.
Yeah, well,
that's right.
Yeah. So we'll put a clean version
is this right or wrong
for everyone to review. And actually, I guess I'm confused. I think I'd appreciate if Ms. Juarez could weigh in. Do we actually need a vote of the commission to put these rules up on our website for informal comment?
Proposed rule.
Well, they're not really proposed at this
They're
point.
not yet proposed.
We're not proposing yet. We're just putting them up for informal comment. But
Yeah.
So do we need a vote?
Melissa Juarez here. I think it's best to have the vote, just so that it's clear that it's the commission's wish that this draft of potential rules be posted on the website. It's not a requirement, though.
Okay, thank you.
I think for precedent purposes, Vice Chairman, the way that the rules were proposed in the past, and when Chairman Hurley and Chair Morris and I discussed this was the preferred method, was to have you vote to put it for informal comment. And then once we've gone through an informal comment process from the public, then begin the APA process for formal comments as well. This allows, as I think Chairman Hurley saw it, the maximum amount of public comment time for us to do that. And by affirmatively having the commission vote to publish it, that helps us better address public comments that you have formally agreed to put it up there.
I would like to just add for the public and some context that these definitions of contingency event and exigent event came from me, where my contingency committee had, and the whole concept, and Commissioner Morris and the chairman both sit on the contingency committee. So we had contingency committee sending communication over to the rule committee. These two definitions are pretty mainstream. I did a survey. There's a variety of legal sources that use these concepts and definitions, particularly exigent event. And so these are adapted from fairly mainstream and fairly widely used definitions. It's not something we just thought up from scratch. The one comment I will make, it's not for discussion today, but just the one recommendation I had made to the rule committee is to consider doing a standalone rule that allows us to take a broad array of action. The rule committee has put the waiver of the 30-day rule only as to exports. I think it's important that we also consider doing it for imports if there is some sort of public emergency where we need to be able to allow things to move into the compact waste facility. For example, accident at a plant, a dirty bomb. I know in the 60s, a Air Force bomber crashed with nuclear bombs on board. So it could be that we're having to respond to a request to import stuff, say like from cleanup crews or first responders. So I would just throw that out into the mix for consideration at this stage. So that's my only comment.
And Mr. Monday, Chairman, Commissioner Monday, we are definitely considering that side of the rulemaking process too. And we're continuing to gather information from those outside that might possibly have an interest in seeing this being done. So we have not discarded the idea of possibly changing and having an emergency import situation too. But at this point in time, we decided to move forward because we want to make sure our contingency plan is in agreement with the definitions and everything else. So we want to address the more immediate concerns. But yes, that's certainly something on our radar.
Super, thank you.
So do we need to make a motion that we publish?
Yeah.
I think Ms. Haddon wants to speak to what Jeff just commented on.
Okay.
Karen?
We'll do that before.
Hi, just a very brief comment. I'm glad that you're working on these rules. I can understand the need to sometimes export something. We need to protect our region, et cetera. But I would urge on the front end that you not consider speeding up imports, that there needs to be adequate time to look at what's coming in. Thank you very much.
Let me just address that real fast. Ms. Haddon, you're not seeing it, but the definition of an exigent event is, quote, exigent event means a sudden unexpected occurrence requiring interim or immediate action to prevent, minimize, or mitigate risk of loss of life, damage to property, disruption to essential public services, or other circumstances as the commission finds requires immediate, interim or immediate action by the commission. And I will tell you, it truly would be an extraordinary scenario. It would require true public emergency to trigger this. But like I said, the one that comes to my mind is you have, something happens where you have first responders or people dealing, and I would expect you deal with a lot of immediate need for cleanup. And I'd rather see us have the ability to move that type of material as fast as needed by the folks to this compact waste facility, as opposed to having it held on site with no protection, or even, moving into a public landfill, which I think is a worse solution. So this would not be a routine matter by any stretch of the imagination. It would be something really bad going very, very wrong that would trigger this scenario. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, I appreciate you and being the ex-county judge. I appreciate that. Talking for all the other judges, that if you do have a traffic accident or something, you need something moved. There's a place to put it, and you're not sitting there with it in your town or whatever. There's already a place available. So I do appreciate that part, but I know where Karen's talking about too. open
Yeah.
the gate any more than it's open, but I think y'all on the Rules Committee and have thought about Texas and are trying to keep us safe. Anything else? You have any questions before we move to a motion? Not, I'm gonna make a motion to the chair that we draft or make a motion to draft for the draft of proposal of the rules 675.20, 675.21, and 675.24 to be placed on the commission's internet forum and not to be, I guess, just left to the public. Melissa, do you have anything else to say on that motion?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. I made the motion to have a second.
I'll second it and would encourage us to move this along with all due haste.
Expediency.
Exactly.
And just to clarify, there will be not the red line copy that you saw in your packet, but the clean versions of each of the draft rules, proposed draft rule revisions.
Thank you.
And also, please, on the website, we would also invite informal comments back to the administrative email address.
Okay. And I'll put that in the motion that we accept, the commission accepts informative rulemaking or comment. Have a motion, need a second.
Second.
Jeff seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion carries. Got that. Let's see, kind of lost my place. Let me move the technical report out of the way. Rule 11's capacity report.
I think we kind of got that already, didn't we, from Mr. Carlson? Well, I guess the committee needs.
Yeah, the committee. There's nothing there, then that's fine. We're good. Item 12 is arrangements for future commission meetings, agenda topics, dates, and locations. Steve?
So commissioners, you should have in your packet the future meeting dates. If you want to scroll to the bottom of that, I mentioned earlier the April meeting is scheduled for San Antonio at the low-level forum. Once the low-level forum ends, you might have that on your calendar to be in San Antonio that day. We will use the Zoom platform as well if you want to attend virtually. Other thing of note is that we're looking in July at going to Andrews County. Judge Dolger is going to host us again.
Yeah, and that'll be at the Andrews Business and Technology building. I guess we'll have we normally start that meeting at 9 so everybody can get back to the airport.
Yes.
And then-
Judge, have you
I have not talked to Dave about a site
visit? In
visit the day
addition,
before.
do we think there'll be hotel capacity available? How's the whole oil and gas thing going? And
I was by them yesterday and you got plenty of capacity.
all right, good.
So you might look at so that'll be July 21st, which is a Thursday as well.
Yeah.
So if those wanting to attend in person, you might want to come down the day before on the 20th, obviously. And we'll look and visit with WCS about a site visit as well, either before or after.
Yeah, I think if any of the commissioners hadn't been there, they need to be.
Absolutely.
Say that.
Steve, I have a couple of requests. One is we can talk about details offline, but if you could make sort of a survey of the commissioners, understand who's going to be in San Antonio and maybe reserve a block of rooms so that the government rate applies, probably simplifies expense reimbursement, that kind of thing. That would be, I think, really helpful, at least to me. The second is I very,
Lisa,
yeah,
I don't know what's going on in San Antonio on that day, but I kind of made being traveling like the judge always did, especially to that area of San Antonio. There's something going on because the hotels around us are at $350 a night. And we got like 200. I know it was more for La Quinta, and that's when I got to looking at, but the 2 or 3 hotels across the street are at 350 a night. So something's going on there. Now you can get about 10 blocks away and go back down. But right there in that area is pretty pricey right now. I don't know what's going on.
Judge, it's what they call Fiesta San Antonio. It's a big annual event. Been canceled because of COVID in recent year, but it's a major thing. Kind of shuts the whole downtown area down generally. So
we will have
all the more reason for Stephen for you to make a reservation and secure the rooms for us as a group.
We'll have we'll have a block of rooms that have been reserved for us as part of the low-level forum for the entire forum, and I'll see how many I can secure for us out of that's separate, but they have a block that's already reserved. So, but well,
having a room block and having the actual rooms reserved are 2 different things. So
absolutely,
we need to do that. We can talk after the meeting. The second thing is I want to applaud the move to have our meeting in Andrews County. I think it continues to be important for the commission to travel to Andrews County once a year. I know COVID disrupted all sorts of things, but as things get back more to normal, knock on wood, I think we should continue that practice. And I very much hope that there will be a tour of the facility arranged either before or after the meeting so that all the commissioners have the ability to see the site itself.
I agree, being the host county, that the commissioners need to, that the public in Andrews needs to be able to talk to us at least once a year or at a meeting, that they don't have to come down here or on the internet, they can see us there.
We're talking about scheduling meetings. I think from the Vermont contingent's point of view, we would like to return to more winter meetings in the dead of winter.
that motion is denied and not seconded at all.
You gonna furnish snowshoes?
By the way, I was going to add, I've been talking with Ms. Poland and also with Commissioner Sadek and Commissioner Bradford about hopefully coming back to Vermont in September or October this year as well. But that is an ongoing dialogue. And for everybody's benefit, Dan Schrum, who since Brandon's not here, I'll get the Dan Schrum harassment in this session, says that with the forum room rate is $129 at the La Quinta, and he's got a room block. So we'll see what we can do to get everybody's rooms reserved. But thank you, Dan, for posting that comment for everybody. Karen wanted to speak as well, by the way.
Karen?
Let me let her in here.
I'm done. Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment earlier, but that's okay now.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. You didn't have a place for us to go?
No.
Okay. If nothing, does anybody else have anything for the good of the commission or the state of Texas or the people who live here? If
I
not,
want to make one more comment, Judge. For the Andrews County meeting, I don't know what the rules are, but if we can somehow incorporate a meet and greet either before the actual commission meeting or after the commission meeting, so people in that host county have the opportunity to have a cup of coffee with us, share their perspectives, directly, sort of more informally than might happen during the meeting. I think that would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, I've always said that too. Stephen, you just need to get with Melissa. There is a posting from the Open Meetings Act that a government body can do that. It just states that nothing will be discussed or taken care of in that area. It's just a meet and greet, but I think it does need to be posted as far as the Open Meetings Act. Other than that, I totally agree with you, Lisa. And we've done that before.
We'll work with you on that, Judge, to make sure we can get the schedule worked out for the tour and
But,
the meet and greet.
posting it, I don't have to worry about if there's 8 of us there or 3 of us there. So
absolutely.
before we've had to not get a quorum in there. But if you post it, you don't have to worry about that. I'll get the chamber or somebody to do that. Anything else? All right. Can't believe Eddie didn't have nothing to say. I'll just read your newspaper. I'm sorry. And thank you for doing it. Item 13 is adjourned.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Need a second.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Monday. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
We be
Aye.
adjourned. Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Nice to
everybody.
see everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank-
Thank you.
Stay warm up there in Vermont.
Yeah.
Try.
That's a challenge.
Tee hee. Bye now.
Bye.
All right.